Alright, today I'm going to be taking a look at Wargames Atlantic's classic fantasy spiders. So here we have some classic fantasy from Wargames Atlantic, and it is their new box of giant spiders. How giant are the spiders? Well, you'll see. So this box allows you to make 24. Flip it over, you can see that they are prepping. Let's just put it like that. Goblins are not out yet, but when the goblins come out, they will have saddles on their sprues, so you can turn these spiders into mounts for your goblins, which is nice. You can also specify them, so they could be used for the fantasy Deathfield setting. And there's a few options on the sprue to let you do that. Let's have a look at what you get on the sprue itself. So, in the box there are 24 spider miniatures, and they are on 6 sprues, so each sprue lets you build 2 large and 2 massive giant spiders. We'll start at the top. Some of the points of interest. We have 2 visors, if you're going to turn these into space style Deathfield sci-fi spiders. You also have these little metallic tips to go on 4 of the limbs, so you can sci-fi them up a little bit further. We have a pair of mandibles, so this pair are sort of at a 90 degree coming in, and then the other pair are on opposite sides. I suppose you can mix and match them if you want as well, but the slightly more curved mandible, which is nice. We have a ray gun of some description. I'm going to think of it as a Weber. We also have a webbed human. A couple of sci-fi limbs, so they've got metallic components on them. Whether they're completely cybernetic, rebuilt, or they're some form of strength enhancing, who knows? The choice is yours. It's sci-fi. Make it up. There's a barrage of legs in here. Far, far more legs than you will ever need for these spiders, even if you're just planning on doing them as fantasy spiders. We have 2 bodies and 2 heads, so abdomens and thoraxes, I suppose, are actually what they are. These just join on the rear, so there's just a little flattened area there for a glue point. And there you can kind of see the face, but we'll get to that in a minute. Their halfling box is one of the most popular, so it seems only fitting that we get webbed halfling. I'm sure a few people can think of reasons they may need one of those for gaming. Here we have our regular giant spiders, and another gun held in the offhand. Flipping them over, and this is mostly to show you how it builds. There are no build instructions with these. However, there are 2 square sections on the base, and then all of the rest of the points are sort of ball socket. So the only 2 limbs you need to worry about is this pair, and then on the other side, don't fail me now, eyeballs. This pair at the top. So these and these have square ends to plug into these central pieces, and they also end with sort of a flattened contact point. So when I was building these, they go glued in first, and then this was glued to a base, and then it doesn't matter what limbs you put wherever you want. It's entirely up to you, and you can have a bit of fun with it. It means you can make them more dynamic, you can make them all unique. So posing wise isn't a massive issue. We'll have a brief look at the one-piece stuff in a minute. But as you can see, I made this one sort of almost pouncing forward, so ready to lunge, and you can see the rear legs I extended. and then the other legs are just set in. So this entire model is balanced on these 2 feet, and it's because it's light enough, it's plastic, and the balance point is far enough forward, it has absolutely no problem in gluing there. I glued the thorax to the abdomen, left it to dry, and then glued these legs on and glued the whole thing to the base, and then afterwards started attaching these limbs as I saw fit, which meant it was a little... I'm not the steadiest of people these days, so it was a little bit of an issue getting some of the legs in. But because I knew it was already secured here, it didn't matter. And if I press down or even lift up, you'll be able to see none of those back limbs are needed to secure it to the base. The other one I did throw glue on, for no real reason, to be brutally honest, because I'd already done this one and knew I didn't need it. There's a little venomous stinger there, by the way. So that's my sort of fantasy version. Now, there are no bases, so I just grabbed a couple of big round bases. Obviously, they would go on proper square bases, like nature intended. Here we can see a different version. So this is a sci-fi one, rocking his 2 guns. So backup pistol and rifle. If I had to say one thing, these end in a sort of 3-clawed hand. So 2 claws and a thumb claw to allow them to grip. If you only put one on, you don't have a second clawed hand as an option. All of the rest of the feet terminate in just a point. So if you don't have both on, if you're just rocking one gun, then the other limb will be just a regular spider limb. It would have been nice if we had another clawed hand, just so it looked like it was how they develop, rather than some spiders growing one left hand and some spiders growing one right hand. As you can see, I popped in the mechanical legs to the rear in case it needs to push off quickly. And this time round, I give it more a Spider-Man look, where the rear limbs are curling back and the front limbs are curling forward, like you would see on Spidey's chest. But overall, a simple build and a nice look to it. Especially since I'll be frost graving soon, so these little one-piece pieces are nice. You can have them on the base as if it's about to be lunch. You can hang them from trees, you can decorate your terrarium with them, or you can find other things to do. And then the 2 baby giant spiders are actually 2 different poses. So again, you have that, I suppose, classic Spider-Man look. When viewed from above, this one is rearing up more. Need a bit of a clean up from where I just clipped them off, but nice to have nonetheless, especially for fantasy gaming. For people who are wondering, let's take the longest spider. So the longest spider is, let's get that round to proper side, approximately 25 millimeters from tip to tip, and the widest is about 19 millimeters wide, so say 20 mil wide. So they'll fit in a 25 mil round perfectly. As far as the big fellas go, this one is a little extended, but not massively so. They'll comfortably fit on a 50 mil cavalry base. And those interior limbs that have to be glued down, so not the exterior, we don't care where they go, but the 2 that have to be glued will fit comfortably on a 25 mils. So a 25 by 50 cavalry base will take these. Obviously you have more room depending on where your limbs are positioned, so that's 30 mil wide, so ranking up on standard 25s may be tricky, although you just offset them. Length from bottom to tip here is just under 50 mils, so yeah. For fantasy cavalry, perfect. For people looking for giant spiders in space, and to be fair, I wasn't thinking I was looking for giant spiders in space, but I can see the appeal now. They will also do the business. So as it turns out, not only classic fantasy, but also you can put a sci-fi spin on them, which is great. Nice to see that they're future-proofing it by already working on saddles to mount things like goblins. Unfortunately, I couldn't get Justin to do this one, but if you're after a big box of giant spiders for your gaming, then I think this is probably your best bet.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.